Sawasdee Kap. Good. We're here with Ajarn, Justin, awesome instructor. Happy to have him in Denver Muay Thai. And we're actually under the same lineage, it's safe to say, the same growth of Muay Thai is under Ajarn Chai Sayuk. And I love hearing people's story, how they met Ajarn Chai or how that influenced their life. I know personally for me, not having a father figure, not having a positive outlet, and not really someone believing in me to the core of it. Not until Ajarn Chai, I went to a seminar in New York City, another instructor of mine took me to him, and I didn't know I was really developing and growing in the art of Muay Thai, and he held pads for me, he watched me shadow box. Maybe my instructor told him I have inspirations of competing, but anyway. But I specifically remember that day in New York when he said, he looked at me, and maybe he says this to a lot of people, but he looked at me and he said, one day you'll be champion. And no one in my life has ever told me I can excel at things or do something great. And that was like the pivotal point in my life where it changed me. And so throughout the years, I've continued to learn from under Ajarn and different great instructors. I had the privilege of being a Kru Kru under him. And it's a baseline here at the Academy that we honor that. We're the beneficiaries of someone who really put everything in the line to spread the art of Muay Thai. And I'd love to hear your story and what you have to share, sir.
Thank you, sir. You know, Kru Danny, it makes me smile every time I hear anybody tell a story about Ajarn Chai. And it's a mistake to think he's perfect or that he's some kind of unbending authority, because thinking that, and you see that a little bit, but thinking that you miss the man, you miss how human and beautiful his love is for all of us. And so when I hear you say that he found you and he believed in you, it's an amazing thing.
Absolutely.
It's a moving thing, and I think that will always move us because that's the soul of humanity in a way, is believing in each other, supporting each other. And if I had to add to that, and I don't think there's anything that needs adding other than what does Ajarn Chai do for us, but he put faith where maybe there wasn't any before. And if you shut that camera down and we walked away, that is what the world needs to know about him. Because I think it's the most important distilled essence of what he brings to us. Now, we're blessed because he also brought us Muay Thai. And when I think about my life, and you hear a lot of stories and people say, well, I wouldn't be doing this or this or this without Ajarn Chai, it's really easy to think of those as cliched stories in the community. But the truth is, none of us would be where we are if he hadn't chosen to leave his homeland at, 16 years old? If he hadn't chosen, to the extent that he chose, if he hadn't chosen to be a part of American culture, Western culture. And can you imagine the courage it would have taken to say, I'm going to start teaching these people who don't know my language. They don't know my art. They might not want my art. You know, and I know Ajarn Chai. I've known the man for decades. I've been privileged, and I think a lot of us have been, but it's always a different privilege. But I've been privileged to spend time with him in Thailand, in his home, you know, in his home in California, around the country. A lot of us have had that, and we know when you've had that, you know. But we see that he is a man who could have quit at any time. He could have said, I'm done with this, and boy, did he not. And there's a strength and a beauty to that. And so where does that fit for me, right? Where does that fit in my life? Well, I wanted to do Muay Thai from the time I must have been 16 years old. But all we had was karate and taekwondo. And I'll be honest, I'm not saying karate and taekwondo don't bring value. There are things, and sometimes, there's gyms where it's trained, and maybe it's not teaching you to be a fighter. In some places, maybe it is more combative. It isn't about that. For me, it was about, I want to knee people in the face, right? I want to spar. I'm 16 years old. I've done taekwondo and karate for 8 years, and I want to hit people with elbows and whatever. I want to headbutt them too, but that's not important. I understand why that's not in Muay Thai. But I had a hard time growing up in martial art because it didn't give me the things I felt were mine. And so, I struggled through that for a while. But eventually, I found some Muay Thai, trained some under Ajarn Chai's lineage, and then that led me to the man himself. I don't even remember. I don't know why. I have a pretty good memory, but I don't remember all the dates, times, and places anymore. I think so much has happened. It gets to be a muddle. I could find them, but it was late '90s when I got into Ajarn Chai's lineage. Finally, I'd done Muay Thai for about 3 or 4 years before that in other places. And I met him, and I was between teachers. I hadn't found a place where I wanted to belong. I hadn't found an art that felt right. And I can't tell a different story than you, because isn't it the same over and over again?
Yeah.
He came up to me and he said, "Sir, you hit like a girl." And
Yeah, he says that a lot.
the first thing he ever said to me, I'm like, "Oh, okay." I'm like, "All right, well, teach me to do better." And I said, "Well, I did hurt my knuckles last night. I got really excited and I rolled over in a dream and I punched the wall and my hand swelled up." So to be fair, I couldn't hit real hard. He goes, "I bet you were hitting your girlfriend." Oh boy, I was younger and more nervous, and I said, "Okay, sir." He's like, "Were you?" I'm like, no, I really wasn't. But he really brings out that human element with people.
It's so unique, and I think it's hard because like a lot of our students now, they don't have that experience with him anymore.
No.
And then like it's hard. It's a challenge, right? And you'll tell these stories, and obviously you can't really get the first person experience. But I was pretty excited in the last TBAs. Ajarn Pete runs one of the biggest tournaments in North America, the TBAs in Iowa, and I was really excited to have some of my students go meet him at the tournament. But unfortunately, he had his health issues.
Yeah.
And it actually hit me like when I realized that when Pete and Pam told me that he's not going to be there, and it actually hit home for me he might not be here as much as we want him to.
And even if he ever is again, there's always an end.
Yes.
And we need to think about that end and how we're going to conduct ourselves to meet that legacy. Because he's not going to take care of us forever. He's already done that.
Yeah. And what do you say, those who are going to be getting into Muay Thai and are interested in Ajarn Chai, and like, if you kind of frame down a little bit of like, what is it that you felt like really connected to you, and something that you want to and share that and be a steward for others?
There are so many places that we could do to honor Ajarn Chai. There are so many steps we could take. I have a personal aspect of that matters the most to me. And he has said since the day I met him, and before that, obviously, but I remember, stick together. He said, always stick together. And for me, the thing that I want to do, the part of his legacy that I want to promote, and I would encourage others to promote. But again, if it's not your role, then maybe you find another piece. Find one though, find something. But for me, it's making sure we stick together, making sure we listen to each other. He didn't know how to articulate this because he wasn't a trained educator. He didn't speak English initially, but he wanted us to have peer-to-peer development. He wanted us to grind inside the art with each other. No, Kru Danny, I do this. And you're like, well, no, Ajarn Justin, I'm going to do that. And you can call me Kru too if you want, by the way. Ajarn is an honorary title. It isn't necessarily something you have to use. We can talk about that later, though. But we can discuss and argue and fuss and fight and build the art as long as we love each other and stick together. We can build bigger organizations, bigger programs. I think for me, sticking together and building the art as a team is really what Ajarn Chai was asking us to do, whether he could articulate that really, really well or not.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we're sticking together right now, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good. Thank you, sir.
Oh, thank you.